The message hit at 2:41 p.m. Hey, just a heads up, the party's gonna be a little tight. Mia and I had to trim the guest list. Hope you understand. No hard feelings. That was it. No explanation, no apology. Just a surgical text from Ryan. Alex stared at it, not quite understanding what they were reading. This wasn't just a casual barbecue. It was a full-on, catered, family-thrown, banner over the driveway welcome home party for Ryan. The Golden Son. The Army Sergeant. The comeback kid. A week ago, Alex had been on a Zoom call helping finalize the color scheme for the balloons. Before that, they were the ones who designed the digital invitations and helped Mia write the caption for the Instagram teaser. And now, they were trimmed. No warning. No. Can we talk? Just a cold slice from someone who had once cried on the phone at 3 a.m., saying, "You're the only one in this family who sees me." At first, Alex laughed, the kind of laugh that sounds like static. Then they picked up the phone and called their dad. He answered on the second ring, voice relaxed like nothing had happened. "Hey, kiddo. What's up? I'm not invited?" Alex said. A beat of silence. "Oh. You heard. I read it. Ryan said there wasn't enough space. It's just a reunion. No need to make it into something bigger. It's not just a reunion. It's a party. For him. Your son. My brother. The one I supported while he was overseas. Remember?" The line stayed quiet for a second longer than it should have. "Look, I'm not getting into this. Mia's family took up a lot of slots. Ryan had to make choices. Right. And I was easy to cut. Don't turn this into drama, Al. It's one afternoon. One afternoon." Alex felt a familiar pinch in their chest, that old sting of being labeled the too sensitive one, the complicated one, the one who always took things personally. They hung up without saying goodbye. It wasn't rage. Not yet. Just this eerie calm, the kind that creeps in after disappointment has stopped surprising you. They sat down at their desk and opened their calendar. That Saturday had been blocked off for months. Now it was blank. They didn't fill it with a pity scroll or a bottle of wine. Instead, they opened a travel site and booked something that would sting just the right way. A private lodge in Breckenridge. Mountain views. Fireplace. Robes that probably cost more than Ryan's party DJ. First-class flight. Let them throw their party. Let them smile in the photos and toast with fake gratitude. Alex would be in the snow, phone off, living a life that didn't require begging for a seat at a table they helped build. The airport was colder than expected. Denver's October air carried that early bite of winter. Alex stepped off the plane wrapped in a layered wool coat, scarf tugged up to their jaw, and a single carry-on in hand. No family waiting. No calls buzzing mid-walk. Just the silence they'd chosen. Their cabin sat tucked between two ridgelines near Breckenridge, half an hour from the main town. Snow had just started dusting the roads. The pine trees flanked the winding drive like guards, and the lodge itself, tall beams, stone hearth, glass walls, stood alone in the clearing like it had been waiting specifically for someone to say no to a family reunion. Alex set their bag down in the entryway, breathing in the clean, pine-scented air. They walked over to the fireplace, hit the switch. Flames curled to life behind the glass. A few hours later, they were soaking in the outdoor hot tub, snow falling around them, a glass of bourbon in one hand, and no one demanding anything on the other end of a phone. It should have felt petty. It didn't. It felt earned. They'd spent the last few years being the other one. Ryan got the spotlight. Alex handled logistics. When Ryan deployed, Alex kept the family calendar updated. When Ryan forgot their mom's birthday, Alex sent flowers with his name on the card. When Mia had a breakdown planning the engagement party, it was Alex who drove 3 hours with a cake and emergency decorations. No one ever saw that part. They just saw the smiling group photos. Now, no one would see this part either. The way the mountains opened up, the way the snow softened everything, the way Alex's heartbeat had finally slowed to match the rhythm of nothingness. Their phone buzzed once. Then again. Then 7 more times in 10 minutes. They dried their hands and checked the screen. Group text. Family party recap. It was filled with photos. Ryan grinning under a "Welcome home" banner. Mia is in a wine-colored dress, holding a cake. Dad raising a glass, cheeks flushed. Alex wasn't in a single shot. No mention. No. Wish you were here. It was like they had been erased. Another text came in, this time from Mom. Hope you're okay. We miss you. Not the same without you. Alex read it twice. Then once more, not because they didn't understand it, but because they did. It was a peace offering. A digital pat on the head. They didn't respond. Instead, they opened the sliding glass door, stepped back into the snowy air, and let the cold bite their skin just a little longer before sliding into the warmth of the water. Somewhere behind the mountains, their family was playing pretend. But up here, the silence was honest. By the fourth day in Breckenridge, the snow had thickened. The skies were a soft, uninterrupted gray, and Alex had stopped checking the time. They weren't just ignoring calls, they were letting go of the idea that any of those calls held value. Then Ryan finally broke the silence. The text came in at 8:04 a.m. Hey. Can we talk? No. Sorry. No. I messed up. Just a breadcrumb. Alex ignored it. Another one arrived mid-morning. Look, I didn't handle the invite thing right. I just want to talk. Still no ownership. Still no real acknowledgement. They put the phone face down and took another walk. The trail behind the cabin was coated in a fresh layer of snow, and the air was so still it felt like time had paused. By the time they returned, cheeks red, heart calm, the phone had rung twice more. Against better judgment, they answered the third call. Hey, Ryan said, voice half hopeful, half bracing for impact. Alex didn't return the greeting. They stood in front of the fireplace, phone pressed to their ear, one hand gripping the edge of the mantel. What do you want? I just wanted to clear the air. I know things got a little weird. Weird. Of all the words. Is that what we're calling it? Al, come on. No, Ryan. You cut me out of your party. The party I helped plan. The one I funded half the decorations for. You didn't just forget to invite me, you intentionally excluded me. And then you dropped a lazy text like I was some coworker you didn't feel like dealing with. It wasn't like that. We had space issues. Mia's side. Alex cut him off. You made space for Mia's third cousin, for her spin class coach, for your old roommate's girlfriend. But not your sibling. The silence on the other end felt sharp. I didn't think you'd take it so personally. There it was. The phrase that always came right before a non-apology. Of course not, Alex said flatly. Because I've always been the reasonable one. The one who doesn't get dramatic. The one who shows up, pays, and disappears. That's not fair. Isn't it? Because that's the role I've played in your life for years. I show up when you're in trouble. I help you clean your messes. I drop what I'm doing when Mom says Ryan's having a hard time. And what do I get? A text. I didn't mean to hurt you, Ryan said, voice lower now. But you didn't care if you did. That's worse. Another pause. This one is longer. The weight of it hung there, thick and uncomfortable. So what then? You just cut us off? Alex exhaled slowly. No. I'm just not letting you cut me out quietly and pretend we're fine. I'm not playing the backup role anymore. You're my sibling, Al. Yeah, Alex said. And maybe one day you'll start treating me like it. They hung up before he could reply. That evening, Ryan sent a follow-up message. I get that you're upset. I didn't realize it meant that much to you. I'll try to do better. There was still no I'm sorry. No full admission. Just the usual halfway effort. Alex looked at the message, reread it once, and then locked the phone. Because the difference now wasn't Ryan's behavior. It was what Alex was no longer willing to tolerate. 2 days after the call with Ryan, the next wave arrived. This time, it wasn't him. It was Mia. Alex saw her name light up on the screen while they were in the middle of chopping vegetables in the cabin kitchen. The message preview was just long enough to catch the tone. Hey. I just want to clear the air. They didn't open it right away. Instead, they poured a glass of wine, leaned against the counter, and stared out the window as the sun dipped behind the mountains. If Ryan's call was predictable, Mia's damage control was practically scripted. Eventually, curiosity won out. The full message read. Hey. I just want to clear the air. Ryan told me you were upset, and I feel really bad if things came off the wrong way. The guest list was such a mess. His mom kept adding people, and we didn't even realize it would be a problem. Please don't take it personally. Your family. We love you. Love. Alex blinked. Twice. The message had that Pinterest polished tone Mia used whenever she wanted to smooth things over without getting her hands dirty. The kind of message where the word problem replaces the word mistake and don't take it personally is code for we did something personal, but don't react like it was. Alex sat down and typed. You didn't realize excluding me might be a problem? Then deleted it. They knew how this game went. Mia would respond with more curated guilt, maybe a voice note that sounded just emotional enough to fake sincerity. And then she'd shift the tone to positivity. Let's move forward, I just want peace, I thought we were close. It was her brand. Instead, Alex left her on read. The silence wasn't an accident. It was the first real boundary they'd drawn in years. By the end of the night, Mia tried again. I get it if you're hurt. That was never our intention. We love having you around. Everyone missed you. Let's just find a time to reconnect, okay? No ownership. No real apology. Just a soft blanket of emotionally digestible nothing. It wasn't enough. Not anymore. That night, Alex took out their laptop and pulled up the spreadsheet they'd built for the party. They had designed the invitations, tracked RSVPs, color-coded family groups, and even managed the seating chart. It had taken hours. And now they weren't even a footnote in the photo album. Alex sat staring at the screen, jaw tight. Their contribution had been erased. Their presence rewritten. Even worse, the people who knew they were involved said nothing. Not Dad. Not Mom. Not even Aunt Val, who had texted Alex every other day during the planning phase, now suspiciously quiet. This wasn't just one bad night. It was a pattern. And they were finally done playing the part of the invisible assistant in someone else's celebration. The next morning, Alex sent a short, deliberate email. It was addressed to Mia, CC'd to Ryan, and blind copy to themselves for good measure. Hi Mia. Thanks for your messages. I appreciate the attempt to reach out. Unfortunately, there's not much to clear up. I was excluded, and that exclusion came from people who know better. I wish you both the best moving forward, but I'll be stepping back from further involvement in any family events. If and when that changes, it'll be on my terms. It was polite. Cold. Final. Within minutes, Ryan replied, Seriously? You're blowing this way out of proportion. Alex didn't respond. They just closed the laptop, poured another cup of coffee, and stepped out onto the balcony to watch the snow fall. Because when people build a whole version of events where your pain is an overreaction, silence becomes its own kind of revolution. The first message came from Aunt Val. It was short, breezy, and full of feigned ignorance. Hey kiddo. Heard the party was great, but noticed you weren't in any pics. Everything okay? Alex didn't answer. The second message was from Mom. I know this whole thing got blown out of proportion, but Ryan feels awful. Mia does too. You're still part of this family. We love you. Don't shut us out over a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a decision. One that no one wanted to admit they'd made. That's what hurt the most, not the exclusion itself, but the group effort to make it seem accidental. They'd all been part of the planning. They all saw Alex's name disappear from the guest list. No one asked why. No one objected. No one thought to pick up the phone. And now? Now they were all watching Alex's silence like it was the problem. Ryan sent another message. Mom's really upset. She thinks she lost you. Alex read it, then scrolled through older texts. Not once in the months leading up to the party had Mom called to check in. Not during Alex's layoff. Not when they were in the hospital briefly for a stress-related condition. Nothing. But now, when the emotional consequences were uncomfortable, suddenly she cared. Alex finally replied. She didn't lose me. She gave me up. They didn't wait for a reply. There was nothing more to say. The following week, Alex returned home from the mountains. No party photos on the fridge. No text chains to catch up on. Just peace. A clean inbox. An unburdened to-do list. Then came the letter. A handwritten envelope, old-school cursive on the front. From Grandma Jean. Alex hesitated. They hadn't spoken much in the past year. Grandma had slowed down, and the family rarely mentioned her unless she needed help with groceries or prescriptions. Inside was a single-page note. Dear Alex, I don't know the full story, but I do know what I saw. You were the one who helped plan that party. I saw your name on everything. And then you weren't there. I asked your father where you were. He said it wasn't a big deal. But it is a big deal. Because you matter. You've always been the glue in this family. You were the one who remembered birthdays. You sent me soup when I was sick, even when no one else called. Whatever happens next, I hope you don't let this break your heart. Because some of us see you, even when the rest forget to look. Love. Grandma. Alex sat at the kitchen table, letter trembling in their hands. It wasn't a grand gesture. But it was real. And it was enough. They folded the letter and slipped it into the drawer next to their coffee filters. A quiet reminder that even if a dozen voices tried to erase their place in the family, there was at least one person who refused to pretend they didn't belong. Later that night, Alex got one more message, this time from their younger cousin, Lena. Hey. Just wanted to say. I saw what happened. Everyone's pretending it wasn't personal. But we all know it was. Just know I'm with you. You didn't deserve that. This time, Alex replied. Thanks. That means more than you know. Because while the core of the family stayed silent or spun stories, the outliers started showing up. People who had also been sidelined, overlooked, and minimized. People who recognized the pattern and refused to be part of it again. 2 weeks passed. The group chat, once lively with emoji chains and cupcake photos from the party, had gone still. Then, out of nowhere, Mom broke the silence. We're thinking of doing a family dinner soon. Just something casual. Would love it if you came. No apology. No accountability. Just an open-ended invite, like the past month had been a scheduling mix-up, not a deliberate betrayal. Alex stared at the message for a full minute before locking their phone again. Not out of spite, out of clarity. The cycle was starting again, minimize, deflect, extend a hand before the dust settles. But this time, they weren't interested in pretending. Later that day, Ryan called. Alex didn't pick up. He left a voicemail. Al, look. I know we messed up. I know I messed up. But do you really want this to be a permanent thing? Over a party? It's not like we burned your house down. We made a bad call. People do that. Alex replayed it twice. At a party. As if this had been about chairs and RSVP counts. They opened their notes app and began writing. The next day, they sent an email. Direct. Clear. Final. Subject, about moving forward. Hi everyone. I've gotten a few messages suggesting we should move on, or get dinner, or not let one thing ruin the family. So let's clear something up. This isn't about a party. This is about being excluded, knowingly, quietly, and without remorse, from something I helped build. And it wasn't the first time. Over the years, I've played the role of organizer, buffer, helper, fixer, and not once have I felt like a valued member, only a useful one. I didn't get angry when you forgot to call after I was laid off. I didn't complain when I showed up with food for Dad's surgery and barely got a thank you. I stayed quiet because I hoped, deep down, that one day it would balance out. But this, being erased from a moment I helped create, broke the illusion. I'm not coming to family dinners. I'm not joining Zoom calls. I'm not playing the role anymore. You're welcome to reflect on that however you like. But for now, I'm stepping back. Fully. They hit send. And this time, they didn't sit around refreshing their inbox for replies. That weekend, Mia messaged one more time. I wish you'd reconsider. Ryan's trying. We're all trying. You're punishing the family over one mistake. Alex didn't reply. 'Cause it wasn't punishment. It was protection. When you've been cast in a role so long you forget your own name, stepping off the stage isn't cruelty, it's survival. A few nights later, Dad called. Left a voicemail, too. It wasn't defensive this time. I read your email. You're right. We didn't think. We've done that too many times. I can't fix the past. But if you ever decide to come back around, you won't be a guest, you'll be family. The kind who gets the first seat at the table. I'm sorry. Alex listened to it 3 times. The apology wasn't perfect. But it was real. They didn't reply. Not yet. Because healing doesn't happen on cue. It happens on your timeline. And for the first time in their life, the timeline belonged to Alex. 3 weeks passed. No calls. No dinners. No guilt-drenched texts begging for harmony. The silence wasn't cold. It was deliberate. And this time, Alex didn't mistake it for loneliness. They'd spent so long believing their worth was tethered to usefulness, to being needed, not wanted. Every birthday remembered, every crisis managed, every invisible task completed was supposed to be enough to earn belonging. It never had been. One Saturday morning, Alex made pancakes in their apartment, not for a family brunch, not for show, just for themselves. They lit a candle that smelled like cedar and coffee, and played jazz from a scratched record they bought at a yard sale. No rush. No performative updates to send to the group chat. Just peace. Their pace. Their space. That same afternoon, an invitation arrived. A printed, cream-colored envelope. Thick paper. Custom font. Ryan and Mia's save the date. Of course. Alex stared at it for a long time before opening it. It wasn't that they hadn't expected it, they had. It was the timing. The assumption. The soft expectation that maybe, just maybe, enough silence had passed that they could pretend nothing had happened. Inside was a formal invite, tied with a thin silver ribbon. A note was tucked in the back, in Mia's handwriting. We really hope to see you there. The day wouldn't feel right without you. Yellow heart. Alex set it down on the counter. There was a time when they would have wept over that. A time when they would have spiraled into the debate. Go or don't go, forgive or withhold, prove a point or rise above. But they didn't need to prove anything anymore. They folded the invite, slid it back into the envelope, and placed it inside their drawer, the same one holding Grandma Jean's handwritten letter. Then they brewed a fresh cup of coffee. Because peace, as it turns out, isn't found in being included. It's found in knowing you don't need to be. Weeks later, Lena, their cousin, invited Alex to a small get-together. A few of the cousins. No pressure. Alex showed up. No fanfare. Just laughter, a cheap bottle of red, and a table full of people who didn't expect anything more than presents. Lena hugged them hard when they walked in. You look lighter, she said. Alex smiled. I feel it. That night, someone asked casually, so things good with the family? Alex didn't flinch. They didn't launch into an explanation. They didn't express peace or bitterness. They just said, they are where they are. And I'm where I need to be. Because sometimes closure isn't reconciliation. Sometimes it's choosing to stop returning to a room where the door only opens when it's convenient for them. Alex didn't burn bridges. They just stopped crossing ones that led nowhere. There's a version of peace that doesn't require forgiveness on anyone else's timeline. Sometimes healing isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's not an epic takedown or a perfect apology. Sometimes healing is quiet. You don't show up to the wedding. You don't argue over the group chat. You just live. Fully. Clearly. And unapologetically outside the reach of people who only remember your worth when it benefits them.